Oh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another fine episode of the Woolen Mill Comedy Club presents the Hickory, the Drunken Under Quarantine Show. And welcome back to episode 11. We've made it 11 episodes, over past 10, charged through, and still growing strong. So please thank all of you for coming out and supporting the show and having a good time with us, for leaving comments, concerns, inquiries. You can reach us at hickorytdau at Gmail if you have any questions. But exciting week. GW was able to make it, which is awesome. Collen's here as always, and our guest this week will be the beautiful, beautiful piece of man known as Brian Munzer. But we'll get the show on the road. I'll introduce our first performer, a very good friend of mine, the founder of the Woolen Mill Comedy Club, located in scenic, beautiful Bridgewater, Vermont. He was the original Bridgewater defund the police guy. Please welcoming to the stage, Mr. Collen Doyle.
Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? Happy post 4th of July. And here I got flying old glory in the back here. The original defund the police guy. We'll get to that later. I love that. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. It's kind of a weird time to be celebrating in this country, seeing how we've seemingly failed. I feel like the C student, America's become the C student of the world. You know what I mean? It's just like we were kind of trying. We didn't totally apply ourselves. We kind of passed, but we didn't totally fail. It's like we're about to totally fail. We're failing this class. So this is a weird 4th of July. We're all sitting here being like, let's celebrate in America. Let's celebrate a time where we have literally been banned from the EU. We're not allowed to go to Italy. We're not allowed to go to most of Europe. They're kind of looking at us like, your ignorance is just dangerous, and I see it because it's like, to me, it's like the math, the things like that. It's like the math is pretty easy. It should be pretty easy for us to be able to kind of adhere to that. But clearly we didn't, because it's like in times where countries like Italy are adding 150 people a day, we're adding 35,000 people. Times are weird, man. I remember I met this guy one time who was like this old Italian electrician, and he was talking about when he moved to this country, and he was saying, he's like, when I moved here, he goes, I made good money. He goes, I made $1 a day. Like, just think about that. Like, that used to be good money. like all these people wanted to do was just make $1 a day. Now it's like you can make $100 a day, and it's still not like great money. Like this same guy who was like talking about it, he's like, we used to build a house for $100. It's like, what are we going to be saying? And as absurd of everything looks today, we're still in the future going to look equally stupid for not understanding like the cheapness of the moment. You know what I mean? Like today, I just saw Amazon's $3,000 a share. For one share, $3,000. So like in the future, people will be like, like that seems like an absurd amount of money, one share of a company. But in the future, people will be like, I made a good money. I made $1 a day, and I could have bought Amazon for $3,000 a share. And that's how we're gonna look. It's unbelievable. I think everybody's trying. I think we're all trying to do better. Vermont just put in the plastic ban. So now we can't have our plastic bags. We're allowed to get our iced coffee in a plastic cup, but we can't have a straw in it. We're getting rid of the straw. We're just going to keep using plastic cups, no straws. They're allowed the small straw spinner stick, to just, stir it. And then you throw that plastic straw in the trash, but you're not allowed the bigger straw to go with it. These are the times we're in. Mandatory composting, no more plastic bags. I had to buy a grocery bag for 10 cents today, paper bag. And we're all trying to do better. I think people want to use things that are better, quality products, natural products like Tom's deodorant. Has anybody tried to use Tom's deodorant?
No.
Yeah,
No.
You know the company Tom's from Maine?
I'm aware of them.
They make really horrible. They take all these different products and they just make them horribly, but they make them all natural. It's like, here's toothpaste if you made it out of nothing but mint and bark. Their deodorant, all it does is just kind of suds in your armpits. It's kind of horrible. But talking about Amazon. I feel like all we have is these like crazy billionaire idiots all I'm seeing all day is these crazy billionaire idiots like Bezos and Bill Gates and Zuckerberg that are just clueless, Donald Trump, clueless men that somehow are proclaiming all of this stuff that they think they're experts in. Donald Trump, I just found out, has never read a book about a president. He has never read one book. This is his own words, not mine. Never read about one president. That's like being like Michael Jordan and being like, I've never watched a basketball game. like I don't know anything about any other players in history. But Bezos is crazy because now Amazon, so much money. Everybody knows Bezos is my arch nemesis. But his words, not mine. Someone asked him, what are you going to do with the richest man on earth, this incredible amount of money? And his exact words are, the only thing I could see deploying this type of financial resources on is space travel. This guy doesn't even want to spend his $200 billion on Earth. His plan is he's going to spend $200 billion in outer space. I just wish I was Bezos. I just wish I could wake up every morning and be like, well, everyone on Earth is fed and housed and healthy. I guess let's go blast their money into outer space. What are you going to do? That's me. That's what I've been thinking about. Happy 6th of July.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to introduce our next guest. Our next guest is it's a real treat to introduce because he's known to scare wild dogs, entertain stranded children, and make couples feel alone. Ladies and gentlemen, Hickory, the drunken underworld.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope even if you were not in a couple tonight, I get to help you feel all of the love. You guys a new one. This cool new product I'm working on in the summer. You guys can hear. A little white thing. This is
Oh.
a tiger that just wanted to visit. You're in a fine spot. Focus on it just right. Pops up and you have a fishing bob. It's pretty cool. And the other thing you can make it back into back, you can stick it back in your envelope, put it back in your pocket. Now you have a bobber with you for any time you may need one. Oh yeah, the cat's just taking over the table. She does not care whatsoever. Yeah, she's taking over the show. It's all right. I had to get the handler out here. Handle the tiger. I'm gonna show you guys a quick cool one. And this I went through a couple packs of cards here, and just pulled out 4 jokers. Yeah. Show you guys something cool. I'm gonna take the first joker, put it about 3/4 of the way down. Sorry, I'm being distracted by my beautiful assistant. Take a second joker. Right in there. Third joker. Right over there. Finally, the fourth and final joker. We're right about there. And 4 jokers lost very fairly cleanly in the middle of the deck. So I go like this. Try that again. Okay. First joker's back on top of the deck. Which raises the question. Well, okay, Hickory, 1 was on top of the deck. Where are the other 4? And the answer would be that the second one was right there in the card box the whole time.
Huh.
The third one was in this pocket. The fourth one was in this pocket.
Wow.
Well, many of you out there are thinking right now, you're thinking, Hickory, there's no way. There's 3 jokers just sloppily hidden in the middle of the deck. To which I would say no, sir. There are actually 100% 0 jokers left in the deck. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Hickory, the Drunk and Underwhelming. I'll see you next week.
You know, GW, I got to say, I'm never underwhelmed.
No, I'm worried that some week it's going to be overwhelming, and I'm just not going to know what to do.
It's going to change the whole business model.
I know. It's going to be weird.
Got to be careful. We're going to have to tell Hickory, you got to be careful here.
Yeah, God forbid it becomes the Hickory, the Drunk and Whelming. And then I might get good and become Hickory, the Drunk and Overwhelming. And pretty soon people are going to accuse me of being sober on stage. It's a very quick downhill slope. So we'll keep this right along. Hickory, thank you for another wonderful card trick. The exciting announcement for the show next week is that the lovely assistant has sworn me that Hickory will not even touch a deck of cards next week. Still perform. There won't be a single card in shot. So yeah, that's going to be fun. And yeah, we'll get this rolling. Next, our next performer, a wonderful friend of ours, a Vermont Comedy Outlaw original, the longest running co-host who has not worn pants on the Hickory the Drunken Under Quarantine show, and still your Vermont Comedy Thunderdome champion of the world, welcoming to our spotlight stage, Mr. G.W. Foley.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Yes. So, confession time. Technically, I am not wearing pants, but I am wearing a belt. Uh, my little guy Oscar had a doctor's appointment. I was gonna originally state that I had to bring my wiener to the doctor, and then I was like that's gonna lead to too many other questions of like what was I doing on Saturday night, other than putting my dick inside a firecracker. Um, so speaking of medical news, if you remember last week, I talked about how I had a strange rash that I didn't know what happened to it. I was diagnosed by somebody who watched the show, and that person said that I had sun poisoning.
Oh.
Yeah. You may wonder what the fuck sun poisoning is. It's when pasty white people like me go outside for too long without sunscreen. Your skin rejects all the vitamin D and just will start puffing up and get welts everywhere. So, in order to combat said sun poisoning, I now have to wear long sleeve shirts every time I go outside.
Oh.
So I look like a douchebag in a sweatshirt in fucking 90-degree weather, wondering why the fuck I'm sweaty as shit. Like, I'm surprised people aren't wondering if I'm a crack addict. Oh, man. I want to thank the people of Rutland right now. We live in a very dense neighborhood, and Saturday night there was a ton of fireworks going off, like a metric ton. We had so many fireworks going off. Part of our skyline was bright like daylight. That's how many fireworks were going off. And it was incredible. It was fun to be outside watching. But they saved it all for Saturday night. Sunday night happened, and I didn't hear a peep. I was so surprised. I went off and tried listening for gunshots, hoping that at least somebody's still celebrating. That's all I got. I wish I had more. I don't, but it's beautiful to be here. And let me introduce our next guest. He is a beautiful man coming from his kitchen in Newport, New Hampshire. Let's give it up for Brian Munzer.
Woo!
I had to unmute myself. I was pretty nervous to do this. It's weird to perform for no audience members. So Collen actually had to talk me into this. I was telling I was nervous to not have any audience to perform to, and he just said, "Brian, you're a regular of the Woolen Mill Comedy Club. You have so much experience performing for no audiences." So that made me so some interesting things have happened during the quarantine. My daughter, who is 12, she learned how to poop outside, which I think is still to learn. And I realized that there were some similarities to the first time that I learned how to poop in the woods, except like I was about 12 as well. But I was on a camping trip with my family in this beautiful island of Monhegan off the coast of Maine. And it was in the middle of a hike, and I veered off the trail a little bit, and there was just like a picturesque mountain view as I did my business. My parents, they had brought toilet paper, and I dug a little hole, and it really wasn't that bad. It was sort of a like one with nature experience. My daughter's she was 12, so our ages are the same. And she, her first experience was in the bushes by a parking lot.
Yeah.
While she was crying and saying she didn't want to use the McDonald's bathroom because she didn't want her grandmother to die. So, you know, pretty similar experience. So that was fun. I'm getting used to. I'm noticing that the women seem to be a lot better with the 6-foot distancing than men. I saw a guy recently. I said, "I think you're a little close." He's like, "I'm 6 feet." I was like, according to this floor tiles, it looks more like 4.5 to me. I think it's interesting that.
No, we lost Brian's audio.
Don't worry, we'll just tell him that it killed.
Of any states in the country, and I don't think that that's a coincidence that that those two are linked together. I'm wondering when we will start paying essential workers like they are essential. It seems like I would have liked to be a grocery store worker and just not shown up when my boss was like, "No, we're still gonna pay you $8.75 an hour, but you are gonna wear this like hazmat." I think it's. I have gone out to dinner. I went one time, and I think I learned something is that if your waiter or server comes in wearing a hazmat suit, that's a sign from the universe that you need to learn how to cook. All right, I'll finish. This is just a true story. I had to get a new iPhone, and I had moved to an apartment, and I didn't have the Wi-Fi set up, so I needed to use public Wi-Fi to set up my iPhone. So I did this by going to Burger King. Of course, Burger King is not open right now, so I thought I would just park in my car and I could just use the Wi-Fi, but I didn't get a strong enough signal, so I actually got out of my car and I was squatting down in the picnic area which is an interesting thing that Burger King has, like an outside seating area that's normally allowed to be used. But I was just sort of like sitting in this picnic area as close to the building as I could, and I'm just infuriated by how difficult and how frustrating it was to just try to do something as simple as set up my iTunes or iCloud account on my new phone. There was a million steps in it. I was getting frustrated. At the same time, a woman from Burger King came out of Burger King, and apparently they were having some communication issues for the drive-through. And so while I was not able to do a simple thing like set up my iPhone, I was accused by a staff member of Burger King of hacking into their computers and turning off the drive-through radio. I asked her a couple questions. I asked her, like, how do you think that works? I said, I think it's just like a wire that connects that. And she's like, I don't know. Technology works in weird ways. And I don't have a punchline for that, but it was not a high point in my life. So I took a shit in the woods and I left. All right, thank you. Thank you for letting me do this interesting medium.
Hey, thank you for being here, sir. It's good to see you. It's been a while. I'm glad that you look perfectly healthy and well.
All right.
And I guess we'll start off leading with the question I like to ask most of the guests is, Mr. Munzer, how has Corona time been treating you?
How is Corona? It's been okay. I honestly, this is maybe more of a serious answer, but I felt like I was doing better when we were just in the lockdown mode, when I just knew to stay inside and everybody stayed inside. Now there's bars are open. I feel like I could go to that, and then I feel guilty about maybe going to that. So I think that it was just, for me, it was so much easier. It feels like now we're in like the real, like wild west of this, where there's really sort of no real rules, and the rules are just being written by like the local sheriff of the town. Like, oh, I guess you can do that here. I didn't know.
Yeah, like it's like where we live in central Vermont, it's like you can drive 100 miles in any direction and the rules are just wildly different wherever you land. Like 100 miles, you can be into New York where it's like still in full lockdown. You can be into New Hampshire where they're still full open. You can be into Massachusetts where they're still in full lockdown. Like it's just this crazy, nobody knows what the rules are anywhere. And they're all wildly different, as you said. Even county to county for hotels right now, there is actually county maps for New England that have every county, and then they have like green areas and orange areas and red areas depending upon the case count. And that's how Vermont's dealing with it right now.
So it's like Corona puberty.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to figure out what's going on, but nobody knows. All we know is there's changes to the system that's happening.
Well, I read different things. Like I like to think of myself as somebody that can identify sources pretty well. But you have organizations like the World Health Organization, who I think is, every evidence that I've seen is that they're a reputable organization with no agenda other than helping keep people healthy. And they're contradicting things that the CDC says about whether it's airborne and or not, or asymptomatic cases. And it's I think all of that is giving also a lot of credence to just people that just want to believe what they want to believe, and they just say, oh, it's, or that want to convince you that you're, by following these guidelines, that you're letting the government control you. Or,
and you know what I love about this whole situation is it's just weaving a more and more complex web for Brian's social anxiety. It's just what this is just a day by day ploy just to make Brian feel like he doesn't want to leave his home.
Also, right,
regardless of how many 95s his mask is.
Yeah, I want the 99, man. I
don't want 95 anymore. I want 125. All right.
You got the 95. What is that? Some kind of pussy thing? Give me the fucking 3000. I want the M3000.
I want the fucking I want the equivalent of the M300. All right. Let's go.
So the ironic part is now that for like the same price as you used to buy, or for now, the price of like a sleeve of N95s, you used to be able to buy like a whole scuba outfit. And you could have just worn that shit around the grocery store.
Well, and to be fair, you're not going to catch much Corona from scuba diving.
Nope.
But it's funny is actually this past weekend, I was snorkeling in Champlain, and then actually in Hudson Falls, in the Warner Falls, these beautiful waterfalls. At any rate, I had a snorkeling mask. Some guy goes, "Hey, dude, snorkeling mask. You mind if I borrow that?" And I literally took a moment to be like, "Is this guy for real?" And I was like, yeah, given the circumstances of everything, I probably won't be giving you my goggles, nose, and mouthpiece. I'm just winging it right now. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, right." I'm like, who asked for someone's like snorkel? Like
Even
that's
in-
like
Even in normal times.
He really wanted to make
even
out with you, man.
Even a year ago, you know.
yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just like your girlfriend. You'd be like, it's like using someone's toothbrush or something like that. It's like, yeah, I mean, like I have it, but like you don't have your own. Like, what? Why would I be sharing this with anybody? Like,
Hey, bro,
it goes in my mouth. What? You don't have your own mouth guard? What do you want my mouth guard next? Like anything that's specifically for your mouth, just like leave it alone. You know.
It's like you're at a concert and he's like, dude, I lost both my contacts, bro. You're like a +3.5, right? Like, just expect to like pull his contact out and give to him.
You mind swapping those contacts with me? That doesn't opt for the extra pair of glasses, just wants the contacts that have been in someone's eyeball
already.
The only thing I could think of was, oh, hey, I see you using that condom there. Mind if I borrow that for a moment?
Yeah, you done with that? I mean, I was gonna buy my own, but I mean, why would I buy them if you already have two? I mean,
we can go Dutch on it.
Gross.
Which leads right back to the $1 a day conversation. Is that's actually the first thing I thought of when you said that, Colin, was that like $1 a day used to be solid money, right? And now it's like people spend that on disposable contacts. Or like they spend 4 times that on their daily coffee that they pick up on their drive to work, which is crazy when you think about it. That like 100 years ago, 140 years ago, this guy used to work an entire 12-hour shift.
This was a guy I met sitting next to me at a bar. This was not 140 years ago. This was literally like within this guy's life. When he moved here, this was maybe like not even 50 years ago, but let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and say it was 50 years ago, 1970. This guy was tickled shitless to be making $1 a day. Let's go 60 years ago, 1960, $1 a day. And he was a skilled electrician who was a master electrician. He said when he got his master electrician thing, his rate went to $1 a day.
Dang.
That's insane.
Which
means at one point he was working for far less than $1 a day.
It's like, how do you like save money like that and be like, I was making good money. I save all my money all week. I saved the $7 a week. It's like, hey, you guys, it's more than $7 a week. I don't know.
I transport to 2020 New York City. I could buy half a pack of cigarettes for a week flavor.
I saved my whole life. I bought my family 12-pack of cigarettes.
We get the car and then what's 20 divided by 200? That's how many cigarettes you got.
That's enough. GW said you guys catch fireworks. GW said there was a beautiful display over Rutland City. Mostly via the town people and not the city. I
don't think the city had one.
I heard they were doing it, but all I ever heard about was that there were so many individuals lighting off fireworks in every city in the U.S. that's all you could see.
I mean, if you were a municipality and you spent money on fireworks this past 4th of July, you probably feel like an idiot. You know, it's like, why did I just spend money on fireworks when the town of Los Angeles, county of Los Angeles, spent like $35 million? You know? Yeah. It's like, what were we thinking? You know, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's some beautiful footage of like drones flying over LA and just seeing the sky explode from thousands of different groups of people lighting off fireworks over the city. And even though they were threatening to fine people for it, I think everybody was over it. It's like, yeah, fuck it.
Beautiful.
And that's why we want to defund the police.
That's right. So we can shoot fireworks.
Let me ask you this. How many fireworks did the police set off this past weekend?
It's a good question.
If you're a true patriot, why aren't the fireworks? Why aren't the police launching fireworks? Huh?
because they leave that to the fire department, man.
Right.
The true American heroes.
Well, I drove down to Massachusetts to go to a friend's barbecue from New Hampshire, and all down 95, every sign says fireworks are illegal. You can be arrested. You can be fined. And I was just thinking, like, I feel like we got some other problems we should maybe first use in those signs.
It's like you're under arrest for what? For trying to be a patriotic, embezzling, flamboyant American.
Buying fireworks to help the economy while being patriotic, and now I'm going to get in trouble for that. Like I can picture the Facebook meme as I was driving.
Well, it cuts you. It's like maybe a bit too patriotic.
It's ironic because New Hampshire was the place I went to as a kid to go buy fireworks. From Vermont, it was like we used to drive over and there was like a little fireworks shop, like I don't know, 10 exits down or something on 89.
Oh yeah, no, we have tons of fireworks shops in New Hampshire, and I always wonder how they can exist as they're like standalone. Like you probably remember buying them. They're standalone fireworks stores. It seems like they could just be like a pop-up one day, like 1 week out of the year. I don't like. How do they pay their rent the other?
It's like a spirit of Halloween that's there 12 months out of the year.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's like exactly. We're selling costumes in August. Who needs a Harry Potter costume in August? We got them. We got it.
Well, that's simple because freedom is attractive 12 months a year, you know.
American freedom is always attractive, my friend.
That never goes out of style, my friend. What is it? Christmas Eve? Launch them.
Right.
St. Patrick's Day, on fire.
Launch them.
Easter, Jesus risen, and so won't the fireworks.
Wait, look what the Easter Bunny left, kids. It's a couple of Class A mortises.
Arbor Day, let's burn some tree down and launch them.
Labor Day, we will celebrate the Chinese labor that went into producing these fireworks. That we're somehow being patriotic by lighting off. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a little reminder, all right, of what some people had to do at the age of 7. Like pack this Class A mortis.
Veterans Day, who cares about PTSD? We're going to light off fireworks.
That's right.
Honestly, that's what I'm worried about with these whole fireworks things. It's like, you can't tell me that any vet suffering from PTSD, this is like some type of act of patriotism. You know, it's just like a benevolent sort of like thing where it's like, what one thing seems patriotic is indeed another. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we support our troops, but it's like, then maybe less bombs at home. You know what I mean?
Maybe leave the things that sound like, I don't know, automatic rifle fire
going off and bullets firing around your head. Maybe let's just ease up on that a little bit while we celebrate all those who have, quote, made the ultimate sacrifice.
I think as much as a lot of other Americans were, I was surprised that we had enough fireworks left to get through the 4th of July.
You think we were running low? I mean,
you would think via all the fireworks that had been lit off in many of the cities across America in the past 2 weeks.
I have to say, LA, I have never seen anything like that. That, like you were saying, the drone footage of LA, I have never seen anything like that in my life with the amount of fireworks that went off across.
Incredible.
It's just.
And to think we had that amount left over. After
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't tell me someone wasn't like, well, we've sold $3 billion worth of fireworks.
And secondly, with COVID, how do we have the production to keep up with that? You can't get a goddamn N95 mask for less than $15 in this country.
It is though for the last 5 months, the only thing people have purchased is hand sanitizer, mask, and fireworks. Maybe bleach. Bleach is like a distance 4, you know?
I heard an interesting theory where I don't know the truth of it. The guy was just kind of spouting off, but he was like, well, you know why everyone's having all these giant fireworks displays in neighborhoods is because they were all stolen during the riots.
Huh.
I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. You know, right around the time, I know when I'm protesting Black Lives Matter, I want to steal fireworks and let them off.
Absolutely. First thing you do is get Roman candles.
Yeah.
It's essential for the cause, sir.
That's just it. I don't know when or where, but we're gonna need these.
But the trick is somehow they stumbled across like 5 tractor trailer truck loads full, just sitting unattended somewhere.
Of fireworks?
Yeah, like dude, how many days in a row did Brooklyn have fireworks at night?
Every
must have been,
single
like-
day.
Must have been for like 10 or 12 days.
Every single day for what seems to be forever.
I mean, I could spend like $500 and be through that in like less than an hour, no problem.
Right.
Like how much money do you have to invest to light up
There's
fireworks?
no way, and I mean, I'm someone who's a bit of a firework enthusiast. There's like a market. I mean, they're a hard thing to come by, right? Like you have to be like literally driving, and it's like one of the most low-lying branch like sales there is, where it's like you got to know a guy who knows a guy who goes to a place who has a place where you get a lot of them for cheap. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, there's no just like, hey, welcome to the ammo thing. It's like that one place that's doing that is like probably, you know, got some like Mexican music playing in the back. Maybe there's a peach stand somewhere near it. And it's like, what do you got for Class C mortises?
My uncle's friend is going down to South Carolina to pick up some boomers.
And I thought, you know, just trying to make his trip worthwhile, you know. Who wants some?
He's bringing down the U-Haul. Come on.
Yeah. That's literally the equivalent.
Let's talk about real quick. Collen was the original defund the police guy in Bridgewater. I thought I'd bring that up since that was such a popular topic amongst the mainstream media these days, is the push for taking away police funding, not just in cities, but everywhere. And there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of support for that. Well, it depends on who you ask, but there's all, you know, on one side, there's a lot of support for that idea. And then there's a lot of people that also think that that's silly. But it reminded me that this past year, back before all the riots and the marches and the protests and everything, Collen, you actually managed to defund the police in Bridgewater almost single-handedly.
I would like to single-handedly take credit for that, but I'm going to politely decline from that. But what I think is ironic is I think that most people who feel like they should police themselves the most, or have the ability to police themselves the most, or defend themselves the most, also contradictorily almost want to fund the police, you know? And I think that it's one of those things where we almost have to make a stand of like, do we police ourselves or do we allow ourselves to be policed? You know, and I think that that's a thing that we all have to kind of look at. I think that the police in this country are something that when, especially speaking from experience in New York, when you need the police and when you really are threatening, your life is threatened, and a policeman saves your life, that is something that's invaluable. So as far as like defunding the police, if a policeman saves your life from someone, that is something that's a hard, you know, monetary value to kind of understand. But if you spend a lot of money on police that are not saving your life and end up costing you a lot of money, then that doesn't seem to be a wise investment. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, I look at like the leisure of travel, the leisure of driving. These are privileges, certainly, but how much do we want to be policed and how much do we want to be fined? How much do we want to have someone looking at us constantly nitpicking? This past weekend, you know, I went boating and I was stopped by the police within 15 minutes of being on the lake. a man wearing a mask, looking like something like Watchmen. I couldn't see his face. I couldn't identify the man if I had to because he had a massive mask on. Nothing but a mask, high-powered weapons, and an incredibly fast boat. And he asks you a tremendous amount of questions. His first thing out of his mouth, you seem to be relaxed. You seem to be enjoying your day. That's the point. That's why I'm on a boat. I want to enjoy my time. And the more that we're policed, the more that we're not enjoying our time. And I think that there is a lot to say about someone who's truly free is probably not always being questioned on their freedoms. So, you know, I think that there has to be, and me being the ever optimist, I think that people, when given the opportunity, do the right thing. I think that it's only that when we're kind of pushed to extremes and things that we don't see any other way do we do things that are not the right thing. So I think that the police, but it certainly there's not much humor in it, but to talk to the point of just the fact that we don't seem to be able to find the funding for so many things, for mental health, for public transportation, for rehab of drugs and alcohol, of all these different things, but we always have the money to be policing them. And why don't we try to see if we can rehabilitate people, if we can try to help people, if we try to give people the things that they need, opposed to jumping to this sort of place of criticism and condonement that allows people to spend so much of their time in a way that's non-productive to society. And so I feel like I've seen it kind of firsthand. It's a systemic thing, and it is something that kind of sets you up to fail. In Vermont, in many ways, the police system has set many people up to fail, and it set them up to become part of a system that, you know, costs you money, and that's really what their goal is, and that's like that all over the country, and on a federal level, and et cetera, it goes all the way up. So we need to get to the core of the things. I think we are. I think that people know how to police themselves and are smart enough to do so. And I think the more that we get back to that, I think that the more we realize that the role of the police officer becomes one of a community member that helps from opposing outside forces, opposed to something that is trying to police your own people.
Which was kind of the original idea, right? Is that you have set community members who are responsible for the safety and protection of whatever small town. And now that my stance on it is that we've just grown too big, and that we have areas that are too populated, and that us as humans are not meant to function in places that are as dense as any.
I agree with that, and I think that the thing is, I feel very much similarly to gun control as I do to police control, is that you need to, the way the United States of America is set up is it's very unique in the fact that it allows for a very specific look at municipalities and states and governance, and look at what is the governance within that topography, and saying, listen, you know, this is something that we should allocate more police or less police, more gun control, less gun control. I think that in a place like Vermont, where people have many reasons to have firearms, it makes sense. In places that you get in higher density, if you're in a city, those are probably not the places to have really high caliber guns and things of this nature. You know?
Yeah, a Wendy's in downtown Atlanta is probably not a good place to have 15 dudes standing with rifles. An 8-year-old girl might get shot. You know, it's just that type of.
And who am I to say that is or that isn't? I really don't know. But I just think that everything needs to take, you need to take a little bit of a closer look at the immediate area of policing, of gun control, and look at the immediate needs of the people, and look at what it is that if those people need it or not, and in a place like Vermont, it's a place that we need to look at is what is serving us, what are the things, and allowing for those resources to be allocated appropriately. You know, and I think in what we've seen in the recent years is a really massive misappropriation of resources.
Yep.
In the fact that what we look at, and this is what I've always said, is we look at policing as revenue or something like adding to our GDP. And policing and incarcerating your own people does not add economic stimulus. Even if you have a for-profit prison system like we have, which allows for few people to make money, it doesn't allow for the actual society itself to gain momentum in an economic, bull sort of situation. So it's something that does come at a cost, even if the state and appropriations think of it as revenue. It's not revenue. It's a fee. It's a fine. It's a taxation, which is different than organic revenue and capital growth.
So I just want to point out that I think we all need a round of applause because we just went 11 minutes without a dick or fart joke. So good on us.
Good job, guys.
We can be serious if we want to.
That being said, that was a way too heavy 11 minutes for the Drunk and Quarantine show.
I had some punchlines in there. Sorry, guys, I didn't hit them.
I heard something really interesting, and I just thought it was clever. Someone said when someone says blue lives matter, then nobody questions them and says, well, actually all lives matter. Like no one's like, what about the firefighters? Like no one is worried. It's just
well, I love the fact that it's like on 4th of July, when people are like, God bless America, we go, no, all countries matter.
Yeah, those were good too. I like those. I saw a lot of those.
All countries matter,
That
the
made me
thing is,
giggle.
and to put in some context.
Like, really, guys, you give a shit about Bosnia? For fucking real. Like,
the amount of people that have told me to move.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a day for fireworks for them, do we? But it's to put in some context for people at home, it's like when people, you have to understand the context of like, at what cost do you allow for people to be fined and penalized for what penalty? In Bridgewater, we were making almost $1 million a year off of people being and breaking the law of being in excess of 25 miles an hour, and I always say, that's funny. It's like, if you don't think that it's funny, that's like Chris Farley, like walking up to you and being like, well, what do we have here? That you were just going to blow through this little town doing 35 and 25 mile an hour, It's like you're hardly a hard criminal, you know what I mean? And I think that the idea of just like carelessly, like I'm from I'm apparently an old age person of a time and age that like you don't point a firearm unless you're ready to use it. Yep. Like, it doesn't matter if it's loaded, empty, what it is. Like if you point a gun at someone, it's basically you're saying to them that, I'm thinking about killing you. You know what I mean?
Right. You wouldn't go.
It's kind of the thing. You don't casually be like, hey, yeah. It's like if you point a gun at me, I'm gonna take extreme offense to that action.
Right. You don't go skeet shooting with like your buddies and have someone just like playfully put a gun in your face. Like that just doesn't happen.
No, unless you're Dick Cheney, that shit doesn't happen.
Dick Cheney went out skeet shooting and he said to the guy, he goes, because when you shoot, like, when you shoot skeet, the shooter always calls pull. But sometimes the puller want to say pull. It's like you just kind of go out with people and they're like, pull. And it's like, what do you want me to do? Turn around and blast you in the face with a shotgun? Like, it becomes
I want you to pull a Kurt Cobain on me.
Yeah. Like that was literally what Dick Cheney's guy did. It was just like.
No, I agree with you. The old phrase around our house was you don't point a gun at anything you aren't willing to put a hole in.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fair, like, if you don't understand anything else about guns, I think that's a pretty fair, like, quick understanding.
Most boiled down, simmered version of how to say gun safety is.
Yeah, here's gun safety in one sentence. Like, don't point this at something you're not ready to kill. Like,
keep your finger off the trigger and let until you're ready to squeeze it, and don't point it at anything you aren't willing to put a hole through.
And I hate to like give into any type of like trigger platforms that are just a bunch of nonsense, but it's like you see so many people acting so recklessly with guns right now. And I think that people need to understand that it's like it's not something our culture has made it so mainstream of just being like, it's something that you can act recklessly with, and it's certainly not. It's something that you need to respect the power of. And
we've been raised with like an entire generation of music videos with handguns pointed at the screen, and that being like a.
Did you watch the Tiger King? The perfect example of the Tiger King is a young kid sucking dick, smoking meth the whole time, and then takes a gun and points it to his head and pulls the trigger. And it's just like, and he didn't want to kill himself. It's just he's so blissfully unaware. That was like my one moral of like the Tiger King of like, we've like raised a generation of people who don't even know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean?
We took gun clubs out of schools, and now the kids think they're just murder machines and don't know how to use them appropriately. It's like the same deal as if you had like told nobody how to operate an excavator can you imagine if people had been told that excavators were just murder machines for the past 60 years, and all of a sudden like Tommy rolled in and he's 21 and he knows how to like run one really well, and everyone's like, oh my God, Tommy's a fucking murder.
And by the way, if Tommy's watching who's running the 343 that can just drive over buildings and move cars with his bucket.
Yeah.
Like that guy. Tommy, we love you.
Thank you for the good work, Tommy. We appreciate it.
Thank you for all your good work and your construction endeavors.
I really want to.
We're getting close to the end. I got a couple of wrap-up questions I wanted to go around the room with. I've been trying to do that every once in a while here when I remember. And I thought Brian might have a cool answer for these. So the first one will be, now that cancel culture is like a pretty big thing and we're canceling everything, I'm talking it started with certain words and phrases and TV shows like Cops and 911, and now it is statues up to including the Ulysses S. Grant and other historical figures. Brian, if you had the single power with your finger to cancel one thing in the world, what would you cancel?
Outside of the current presidency,
that's low-hanging fruit, bro. I'm expecting a better answer.
I'm pretty against cancel culture, though. I think that it's time to say that that's.
Would you cancel culture?
Yes, I would cancel. Yes, that's a much more clever answer. I would cancel culture.
Okay.
That's what I would. But people are talking about like taking down statues of Abraham Lincoln. And granted, I do not know all the details of Abraham Lincoln, and he probably owned some slaves, but he also freed a lot of slaves. So that's like he's still like there's a net good there. Like he let's say freed like 1 million. I don't know how many there are slaves. Let's say there are 1 million.
What you're saying is he freed the slaves, but he might have used some slaves to free them.
Yeah, like the document that was the Emancipation, they wrote that or something, and he didn't pay them. Or can you imagine if Abraham Lincoln had slaves? Can you imagine if Abraham Lincoln had his own slaves and they were celebrating like the Emancipation?
That was audio drops a little again. So the one for me that pissed me off and realized that a lot of the people who are out there tearing down statues don't know what the fuck they're doing is when they toppled the statue of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Columbus, Ohio.
A lot of movies. And like I never see that Quentin Tarantino gets anything that sticks on him for like him using the N-word, specifically the Pulp Fiction, where he talks about a certain type of storage that he does not have at his house. And I don't think it should be canceled, but I just think it's strange that he gets a pass for that.
Well, I have to say, Brian, I can't imagine as a white man sitting down at my computer and writing a script like Django Unchained where you use the N-word repeatedly and just being like, and then the Django, N-word, N-word, N-word. N-word, 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 N-word. Fought the N-word, and then the two N-words ended up being this. And then winning a thing where his last word was, he goes, when you win a thing for writing a script, you did all the work. It's like, you are a cracker writer, right? You, Quentin Tarantino, what is this nationality that you are? Tarantino, you're the whitest guy I know, all right? Quit writing about Jews, quit writing about the blacks, quit writing about pussy. You don't know anything about any of it, okay? Move on, Quentin.
He's got one more movie left. That's it. We're good with him.
And you know what his last movie is? You mark my word. It's a movie about the indigenous people of the Americas get a chance to go onto a boat from the Pilgrims, and curveball, they kill them all. Hey, look at that.
See,
the Holocaust never happened, slavery never happened, and the destruction of the indigenous people of America never happened. Here comes the hat trick for Quentin Tarantino. And by the way, also, that piece of shit film he made about Hollywood never happened either, because that film made no sense. And everyone thought that was genius. And it was just more Quentin Tarantino bullshit.
I figured the next Quentin Tarantino film was going to be, it'd be like the Django, but for women, where they just call each other the C word. Like through the entire film, just like a fucking, like literally 800 usages of the C word.
The movie's called Cunt Unchained.
Every dude just feels super, super uncomfortable about the whole thing.
And people defend it, and they're like, this is the movie that we all need to see right now.
Like the only people that genuinely love it are Australian and British. And they just like get it to their core. And they're like, oh my God, this Quentin Tarantino is the most brilliant writer I've ever seen. I mean, do you remember when that woman said, see the CC? That C was the greatest C I've ever had. That was the best line ever written.
Yeah, that movie was written. It was called Game of Thrones.
Is there any other white director that has been able to get away with like using the N-word?
Who's written the N-word probably like over 1,000 times?
Well, also
like the Little Wayne of script writing.
Well, like if you watch the wolf scene in Pulp Fiction, I mean it's not like.
I mean, I would say the person who was able to propagate more racist shit than Quentin Tarantino was probably Walt Disney. I would say that like Walt Disney probably reigns the crowd. I mean, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear Mickey in his menstrual gloves is racist, right? But like at the end of the day, like you gotta call a spade, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's also a racist term, by the way. Call a spade.
Is that?
I was wondering about that. Then I heard a black person say it, and I was like, I don't know how.
I mean, is it because spades are black?
Oh yeah, all spades are black, so you know that's got to be a bad thing. You know?
As far as I'm aware, I mean, spades are originally a shovel, so it would be steel. So technically, they're silver.
I'm pretty sure I have been wrong in the past, but I think it has more to do with that was also a term for African Americans.
The word spade.
Yeah.
But this one was a king, Brian. Does that not negate? Okay, I'm sorry, racist white guy. I can't help it. I was born this way. Anyway, does anybody have anything? Since we're running over, anything they'd like to wrap up with? Anything that you need to get off your chest, off your back, off I don't know, the shoulders or the the neck, the back, the pussy, or the crack.
I just want you, Brian. You've been doing any surfing?
I have been doing a little bit. Summer is always pretty slow. Not a lot of surf, but I've gotten out a little bit. My daughter's come out. She's done a little bit, so it's been all right.
Does it feel like you're being waterboarded when you wear a mask surfing?
I do not wear a mask surfing.
Oh, okay.
I have had people like paddle pretty close to me, and you guys think that you're in the ocean where being spread out is pretty easy to do because it's so big.
It's almost
I've had
mandatory.
people like paddle up to me just to chat with me briefly, just give me like, well, it's pretty beautiful out here, right, man? I'm like, you could say that a lot further away from me because we're in the ocean right now.
And for people who are watching at home right now who can't get the scale because it looks like Brian and I are similar sized.
They're not. They're not.
We're not. This is just a matter of optics. Brian's much bigger than me, and I've always wondered, like, your surfboard must be like the largest surfboard in the world.
I mean, it is large, 10-foot board, so it's pretty big.
It's 10-foot board. So Brian's like, if you are anywhere within when my board's sideways,
Yeah,
you're
that's
too
right.
close. I need a board length around me at any given point.
I would like at one point I thought I should just carry around like a stick that was 6 feet and just sort of like go around with it, and people would stay like joggers. I don't think anyone liked joggers to begin with, but I've never had a jogger like veer out of his path to move out of my way at all. It's always like, nope, they're going right. They're in the path.
Joggers are the worst, disgusting human beings right now in the country. They're spitting, hacking, sweating, coughing, running around. What? So you can get a jog in? What the hell is wrong with you? You
They're
take
like
and you run around. Jogging is prancing around, spitting and coughing all over everything in your neighborhood. That's what jogging.
Jog.
All right? Get on a treadmill, do some other cardio. Who the hell made you king to run around a whole neighborhood coughing and sneezing on everything?
Buy the Peloton and stay the fuck inside.
Stay your ass at home, all right?
But yeah, but then I get judged because my husband bought me a Peloton and now he's fat shaming me, and it's Christmas. And don't you miss the days when that was the fucking controversy? Like
GW
some dude bought his
still
fit wife
streaming.
a Peloton and that was fat shaming, and somehow that was a big fucking deal for like 3 weeks online. I was like, dude, I miss those days.
Guys, like, here's a romantic commercial. A guy buys his girlfriend a $4,000 exercising piece of equipment. He's like, this piece of shit.
This
I was like, if my wife had bought me 800 pounds in plates and a really nice bar, I'd be like, sweet, honey. Like, this is the greatest gift I've ever gotten. And then it's like the commercial is just like this, like me all frail and shit, and she's just mocking me. Like that's how they treated it. It was crazy. Oh, Matt, our guest from last week, Brian said, little wave this weekend. I guess he surfs. I don't know. I was following up on a comment Matt left from watching the show. So there'll be a little wave this weekend. I don't know if he was talking last weekend or this weekend.
at some point in the weekend.
Yeah, at some point on a Saturday or a Sunday, there will be a little wave. So I guess we're actually over about almost 10 minutes right now. So Brent, please let us know where we can find you online. Let our fine followers know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can see you in the future. If you have anything out on the far horizon, or just about where we can find you, sir.
I really
Don't dox yourself.
Pretty hard to find me. I mean, I was never. I really was mainly just going out and doing shows, and now that's really limited, I haven't been doing that. So I would say just wait till the world returns back to normal, and hopefully you'll see me back at the Woolen Mill Comedy Club or other comedy venues in New England.
Okay. No Facebook they should follow? No,
No, I actually purposely changed my Facebook so people could not find me, which is granted not a great career move, but it was
It
for
was
other,
great earlier today
Of all
when
the
I
dumb
sent,
things I've seen you do, Brian, that's probably one of the dumbest things I've seen you do, B Moose.
Well, I work at a school, and I don't want my parents to know what else I do. So
they hang out with cretins like GW, Collen, and I. Yeah, we're some
Yeah, well, God forbid they know that you have an opinion on anything.
fucking bad apples, bro.
Yeah, that's gonna cost them dearly.
Watch out.
Someone's
Take the
getting
rest of the
canceled
bag.
tonight.
Well,
Don't worry,
also-
folks. Your kid is not being taught by a
Drunk magician.
drunk magician or a drunk surfer
or
or a drunk
comedian.
mason like GW. Still working on that brick wall.
So yeah, if there are kids that I know watching me, stay in school so you won't end up like any of these guys.
Yes, please do. You do not want to drink a lot of good beer and play with cards. It's an awful life, I tell you.
For those kids listening, no.
Oh no, they do. This is an hour and 10 minutes in. They tuned out after like 5. That's the.
Yeah, 33 seconds.
Yeah, we're lucky if they get to a 5-minute mark.
I like
Oh, it's
the
so boring.
I like the idea that this show is hip enough to be like, yeah, we're really worried about getting too involved with the youth culture right now. 'Cause that's,
Hey, I pretend like I care about other people occasionally.
I gotta, hey, take like guys, get off the fucking Instagram for a little bit. We got that quarantine show we're gonna watch. Remember?
That was the first 2 weeks of this show. That's all I did.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for being here, sir. GW, would you like to say any final words, sir?
Apple and Kills on Twitter, Instagram. Find me on GW Foley at Facebook.
Friend request him. We only have 8 more friend requests to go, and then
Yeah, I got Twitter follows.
woo!
Yeah, I was impressed, and I was like, this person watches. This is amazing. So, anyways, yeah,
So 9 more Twitter followers.
9 more.
G-Dubs reveals what it looks like behind the scenes,
Absolutely.
is what I was told. And that I might possibly, we'll have Pierre back on and we'll do a full pantsless cast. That's, so get on to GW, like him, make sure we need another 9. And then
Yes.
we have the Pantsless Under Quarantine show.
Get
So
on me.
please, subscribers, followers, commenters, and likers, people that enjoy the show, please follow GW so that before Corona time ends, we can get a pantsless show in. Who knows? Maybe it'll be our 15th episode special.
Maybe.
It could be crazier. Colin, any final thoughts, moments? Anything you got to get off your chest, sir?
No, great to have old episode 11 underway. Stay tuned for episode 12. Great to have you on the program, Brian.
All right, thanks for having me.
Ryan, I am sorry that you were scared of us and that you had to be convinced to come onto our show. But I'm very glad to have you, sir. I'm glad you came out. It's good to see you. I'm glad that you and yours are well and safe, and that you decided to poop outside of a McDonald's and not a Wendy's. Oh no, sorry, I got the stories confused. Daughter outside the McDonald's, you outside of Burger King.
Burger King, yeah, you got it.
Okay, but not a Wendy's, which is important because that's where the scary stories happen. Anyways, thank you everybody for coming out, hanging out, enjoying your time with us. Signing off for Brian Munzer, our special guest, for my buddy Colin Doyle, and for GW Foley. I am Hickory the Drunk and Underwhelming. You have been privy to the Woolen Mill Comedy Club presents the Hickory the Drunk and Quarantine show, and we will see all you guys next week. where who knows, we might be on to Chaz 3.0. We'll find out.